Welcome back to Worn Out Racing, the best Cinquecento channel on the internet, which isn't particularly difficult to beat, but maybe even the best small Fiat channel in the world, or maybe not. But either way, I'll jump straight back into the 16 valve build because I have been extremely busy and I hope you are proud of me. So either way, roll the video. Well, I've gone and taken the sump off. Now it's exactly as awful as I thought it was going to be as far as the actual sump itself. Like, this thing is toast. There's loads of bits in the bottom of here, but actually it just looks like all the coating is flaking off the inside. I'm assuming it's not an actual real Fiat one, otherwise it wouldn't be quite that bad. So actually this spare one I had is going to work out a treat. And without taking a complete stab in the dark, this is all looking pretty good. There was a few little bits in the pickup here which I've cleaned out. Again, they just look like little black scabby bits that are similar in the bottom of there. Otherwise it's all looking, and obviously there's only so much you can tell from looking, but there's nothing horrible. I've just looked down, make sure there's nothing obvious for any busted rods or anything like that. There's no gunge, nothing horrible in here. Everything's looking actually really nice and clean, which is usually a good symbol. You can even see that oil there is quite new, that this has been well cared for. So one little thing that you will notice on these, different to the 8 valve, is they get this little girdle. It's like a little, I don't know what you call these, windage trays on other cars maybe, and the actual pickup is a lot different. So what I will do is I'll just make sure that everything is nice and clean, nothing horrible on here. Really gently clean these edges off, obviously going outwards so all the silicone doesn't go back in. Get it all cleaned up, then I'll get this new one prepared, put a little bit of sealant on there, not the 3.5 litres that the person before used, and then get the new sump on and then flip it back over. Now, I've saved you the trouble of watching me wire brushing all of this off. You can thank me later on. I've not gone crazy. Don't lose any sleep over this when you're doing it. Obviously, if you've got a new one, easy. You can just put the sealant straight on. If you've got sealant on it already, just try and get a nice smooth surface. I cannot tell you how much sealant I took off of this. You have to try not to cuss people down too much. Could have been someone's first time doing it. They didn't know you didn't need to use 3 litres of the stuff. But you might be thinking to yourself, oh wow, a little bit of rubber gets in there, no harm, no foul. Now that is kind of true. But this is one piece, because there was so much sealant on it, was literally on the edge, as in like it was over the edge and in the sump. And just imagine if that got sucked up into your oil pickup, or I'm making it a little bit dramatic here, but even half of that, you're going to be minimizing the amount of oil you're going to be getting in. So you need to just watch and not go too mental. Hey presto, and obviously it's not ideal going over an area that used to have sealant on it before, but as you'll see, and I do just rough up a little bit, just tapping it like this. It just needs to be nice and consistent, because in theory, as long as you clamp this down all right, it is going to squeeze all of these corners. Now, one thing I do have, which I'll show when I bolt it on, is on the 899s, they actually have a little washer, like a little spreader washer that goes on with the bolts. They didn't do it on other ones. Don't know why. So I'm going to put a few of those on as well, because it just helps spread the load from the bolts. It's another day out here in the garage, just like a little Christmas elf. I've been working hard in the background without you seeing it, tidying up the engine. Didn't see the point in showing you this part. It is massively satisfying for me to clean it up and stuff, but I appreciate that sometimes things don't translate into videos, so I'm just going to quickly show you what I've been up to make this 16 valve lump look just that little bit better. And this is a picture of it after I'd degreased it and jet washed it down, or at least hosed it down. I don't really like using degreaser, if I'm entirely honest with you. I am a little bit of an eco warrior on the side. I don't really like the idea of spraying chemicals and then washing them all over the floor, but I couldn't see any other sensible way of getting it all off. Significantly better, I think you'll find, but obviously it's an iron block, so it's nice and rusty. And then I attacked it with some paint. I'm keeping things pretty subtle with the engine because I feel like I'm going to throw that colour at it once it actually gets in the car, with like the braces and all the other little bits that I've got planned. So check this out. You tell me if you think it looks a little bit better than it did. Look at that. Nice new sump, nice new water pump. We've got a hammered, it's not quite dry yet, graphite finish. I even did the side, you're not going to see, because that kind of person, now there's every possibility that the cam box will get painted, but while it's actually on the engine, this might go for a slightly more wild colour. I've got an idea for it, just to make this whole thing pop. Oh, hang on a minute, I've remembered something. One sec. There we go, I knew I had something. We've got a nice fresh coolant pipe on there as well, just because I'm fancy like that. Right, now what's next? Ah yes, as I record this, I'm still waiting for my parts to turn up. It's a little bit annoying, but obviously for you, you don't have to wait. So in the next, let's say 3 or 4 seconds, might even do a little montage of music just to build suspense. I will get my package from Autodoc, and we can get this thing back together. I can't wait. And as if by magic, the parts are here. Let's not waste any time. Right, that's the crank seal done. Thankfully, I actually ordered the right one this time, or they sent me the right one. So now we can go ahead and put this back on. We'll work this out as we go to make sure we get it in the right sequence. But we'll get this put back on, tightened up lightly, make sure everything's still timed up nicely before we then put the belt on. There's a couple more steps before we can get everything tightened up and get this timer belt buttoned up completely and then crack on with the rest of the build. But yes, it feels like it's taking a little bit of time, but it's worth doing properly now to not grenade your engine later. Right, I'm busting out the microphone for this one in the hope that the quality is going to be a little bit better on here and you can hear me, so I apologise if you can't. Now, what have I done with the crank pulley? What an idiot, I've lost it. So, first thing we need to do is crack out our little tool, because we need to get this middle bolt tightened up now so we can rotate the crank into the right place. It's a nice easy job. I'm probably just going to use a hammer or something just to tap this back so we can line this screw up. You haven't got to go crazy bolting these in, because it just needs to hold it enough so this to do the socket up. Just like that. Now, as luck would have it, that's actually put it pretty much exactly where it needs to go. We've got one tiny little tap just to get it perfect, but that works out very well. Now, that only took a couple of little taps just to get that exactly on point. So now the next bit is a little bit random, but it does kind of make sense when you think about it. Now, what we need to do is this top pulley here, which I've borrowed the tool for, we just need to loosen this bolt because there's a tiny little bit of movement in this pulley, because when you put the actual belt on here and around all these teeth, you can't guarantee that all these teeth are going to line up, and obviously you can't move the pulley because you don't want to move anything to get it out of time. Because that tiny little bit of movement that you'll get in there will allow the teeth to go on the belt, and then you can tighten this pulley back up afterwards once you've got it all sorted. So I'm going to get the tool out, undo this bolt, I hope. I've got a horrible feeling about it already, and then I'll report back in a second. Okay, now it's slightly worrying as this feels, because it does, because now suddenly this is moving loads. It's like I said, it's supposed to, because now you can move this pulley without affecting any of the timing anywhere else. So we're going to get the belt, we'll just slide it on, and with any luck, this all starts to come together. So I believe it is bottom cog first, then round the water pump, then round this, and round the tensioner last. Oh, just like that. So we've got it, tooth on the water pump, teeth on here, teeth on the bottom pulley. Now it goes without saying that you want to make sure that you are pretty much nice and straight. So pretty much bang in the middle of the top pulley if you can, so you don't go too far over one way or the other. So it's sort of nearest the edge. You should be able to see a little bit of pulley on either side of this if you can. So the Haynes manual reliably informs me I now need to use my jiffy little tool here to tighten the tensioner first, get a little bit of tension on the belt, then we have to do a few rotations and some other things just to make sure that everything's in place. So I'm just going to tighten this up first, then we're going to tighten this socket. I need to figure out what torque to do that, so I imagine it's going to be a lot. There you go, it's pretty straightforward. It's like an oval shape. So as you tip it like this, it starts to push it in. Obviously you're going to need this fairly taut, is what it says. Now we have to actually do this again in a minute, so don't lose too much sleep by getting it absolutely perfect. There we go. So now you can only do about a third of a turn, if that. Now let's tighten this bolt up. I'm going to go see what torque settings I need to do it to. Right, now it feels like story time with Ben at the moment, so now it's done that. Now we need to remove the piston positioning tools. That's the two little rods, fine. Take the lock-in camshaft tools out as well, fine. Then we need to turn the crankshaft through 2 complete turns in the normal direction of rotation, fine. Right, then we need to slacken the retaining nut off again, line up some timing marks, then we have to rotate it again. So there's obviously a lot of things to make sure that you have tightened everything up, nothing is out of sequence, you haven't skipped any teeth, all kinds of stuff. So I'll do that. We'll remove the tools, we'll rotate it a couple of times, then we'll do this retention pulley bit. I'll only show you the retention in pulley adjustment because it says we have to line up some special marks. So I've never done that before, so you might be interested as well. Well, I'm sorry, but it turns out that my tensioner pulley doesn't actually have those little marks on it. I don't know if it's just an old thing they used to have, or like maybe it's Fiat standard parts, but I don't have them. So I just tightened it back up like it said, did 2 or 3 full rotations of the whole assembly. They're about staying nice and straight, nothing's moved, tension is still tight, we're all good. So now it says, as a precautionary thing, bolt these 2 back in, make sure that when these are nice and level, which they should be, both of the cam locking tool things can go in as well. And I know then we are 100% done. There is no more timing to do on this engine, and we can get on to making it look a bit cooler. Because I've had an idea for the cam box, which I'm probably going to do, because I think it's going to be cool. Then we can start putting the inlet together, start talking about getting the injectors cleaned and stuff like that. This engine is going to come together pretty quickly now, because I don't think there's any more bits I need to buy for it specifically, unless they're modifications, which you know I am inclined to do. So without further ado, allow me a few moments, or a couple of seconds in your case, to bolt these things on, just to confirm that we haven't made a right hash of it, and then we can almost forget this existed for quite a few thousand miles. Huzzah! As luck would have it, it turns out I can follow instructions, and that means you can do it too. So I've read the Haynes manual, never done one of these before. Fingers crossed it doesn't implode the first time I drive it. Then you know you just have to follow the instructions, be methodical, don't just think that'll do, because it'll come back to bite you at a later date. So now that's all done, we can carry on getting it all sealed up, because I don't want this engine sat around when I start doing other jobs on the car with openings in it that stuff can get in. And that leads me on to the fact that this came with a set of Iridium NGK plugs, so we may as well throw those in right now, because I'm going to be then taping up some other stuff, and we're going to be painting the cam box on this, because everything can't be black and grey, can it? It needs something a bit more interesting, and I hope you like what I've got planned, because it's a little bit wild. But either way, as well as that, I started digging out things like the pulley covers, cleaning those up a bit. They all seem like they're going to fit okay. I also took the crank pulley slash auxiliary belt pulley that was sort of blue, but most of it had come off. Sanded that back, and I've just done a really quick job of crinkle black. It's okay, but no one's ever going to see it. It just needed to not be blue. So we'll throw that on there as well. And then I've also been sorting out everything as far as the inlet manifold, the seals that I need, which are getting really hard to find, and I've spoken to my man Chris at HAD about getting my injectors flow tested and cleaned, because there's no point putting them in if they're all blocked up. So without further ado, let me chuck some spark plugs in this. Then I'm going to bust out the masking tape, crack on getting this cam box cover painted. And yes, before you're wondering, I am putting off doing the engine bay. Sue me. Now I know you're barely going to see any of this because there's a big old plastic section that goes on the top after, but if we're going to go to all this effort, especially on this coolant part here, I may as well bust out the tool and get it looking a little bit cleaner. My tool of choice is this. My dad used to be a professional polisher back in the day, so he's given me a load of stuff years ago before he retired. And this is like a little polishing thing, and this is really, really good when you're just trying to clean up little areas, because it's not very abrasive, doesn't actually leave any marks or anything, and it should just help me clean up all these little bits. I won't go crazy, just get all this nice and clean, make sure this surface is nice and clean as well, before we obviously paint up the cam cover and get this bolted onto here. This is what we're going for. I'm not going crazy, but that little attachment is really good for mating surfaces like this. Get them nice and clean and shiny. I've just taken off like the badness off of that. I will do that a little bit more by hand, and I'll clean this up a little bit more, but otherwise the main thing will just be giving it a wash, get some soapy water and stuff in there. It is disgusting on the inside of here, as you can see, because it's been open for a really long time. So I'll stick a hose in there, get all this jet washed out, stick a brush in there, get it all nicely cleaned up. I'll be honest, even I've underestimated the amount of effort it's going to be to paint this cam cover. So for those of you who don't know, on a normal car, or at least on a car that we may be used to on this channel, the cam cover is very much just sits, little case, goes over the top of the cam. Take it off, go jet wash it, get it dipped, whatever you like. On these, the actual cams themselves are actually integrated as sort of part of the actual box itself. That's why they call it a cam box. It's got the gears and everything on there. The followers, when you take it off, all the followers and stuff fall out. It's a nightmare. So I'm not going to go down that route. So I'm just painting it on here. But obviously, it's very dirty and oily. And if anyone can tell you something about dirt and oil, it's not good for paint. So you can't just go throwing paint over the top of it. So I've used everything from a piece of tissue on the end of a screwdriver, a toothbrush with soap on it, everything I can to try and get in all the little nooks and crannies of this one. So when I eventually spray it, it doesn't go rubbish. So I'm going to show you how it looks at the moment. I'm going to save you the hassle of seeing me actually like doing the cleaning bit. I'll probably video me actually spraying it though, because that's probably gonna be quite cool seeing it on the time lapse. But I'm going to use an acid etch primer. Again, for those who don't know, it's got an acid sort of layer to it. So when you spray it, it just helps it adhere to multiple surfaces like bare metal, as the can puts it. It's pretty expensive stuff, so it should work. Then we'll throw the colour on it. And I don't remember if I told you what colour I'm doing it in the video. But if not, it'll be a surprise. If I did, then it won't be. So let's have a look. Right, this is it so far. So I'm just trying to get, this is the bits I was talking about in all of these little horrible bits you would normally do. Now I did think about just painting this top bit, just the very top half, but I can't decide whether that would look good or rubbish. So I kind of feel like I need to do the whole piece, this whole box, which means I'll be going right down to the bottom of this layer here. So the back of it doesn't really worry so much. This bit I do. So I'm just pushing some tape down in here, so at least the paint goes down a little bit into the bottom bits. You won't see the rest because it'll have an HT lead in it. So get your guesses in now what colour I'm going for. It's not black, it's not silver, it's not grey, it's nothing boring. It's very, very bright. And now it's time for the big reveal, and I hope you're going to agree this is definitely worth the effort. Roll the montage! Yes, as you can see, I went for a crazy yellow. It did almost end up neon pink. Can't be entirely certain as to why, but I needed it something to really pop. Just with all the other ideas I've got with the car and colour schemes and stuff, it just needed something a little bit less bland, just to really make it stick out. I hope you like it. I actually really do. I think it goes with the graphite grey really, really well. Obviously, I've got the timing belt finished up. I started getting everything else bolted on. We've hit a couple of snags. I've got parts turning up, which is great. So I've got a load more bits turn up to try and get this all finished. Gaskets, bolts, all those kinds of things. But yes, so on to snag number one. And there's this. Now you might have seen me mention or fit this, especially the crank sensor or pulley wheel. So this obviously runs the alternator and it sends the signal to our engine from the crank sensor. Now this is a Cinquecento one and I didn't foresee this being a problem, but I'm going to show you either on the engine or a picture if I've got one. Now if I bolt this onto the engine like there, as you will notice, where is the hole for the sensor? It's right there, and it is absolutely nowhere near the actual trigger side. So this is where I found out that 16 valve puntos, their pulley is the other way around. So the trigger, so these little teeth on here go past the sensor on the inside and the pulley is on the outside. So I have seen fit to go on eBay for once actually, and I've managed to track down a 16 valve one. Now this will present some other problems, which we'll touch on in a minute, but one of the biggest problems that I've found is that I've weighed this one and it weighs, let's just say 700 grams. And I've weighed the other one and it weighs 1.2 kilograms. Now, all right, we're not building a race engine here, but also I've had that really lightweight flywheel to go on and loads of little bits. So it seems crazy to almost double the weight of one of the pulleys, obviously rotational mass and all of that. So I'm just asking around now about whether A, I can cut that off without unbalancing it terribly, because there is a little groove in there that I could probably cut it through, or see if I could take it to an engineering place, get them to stick it on a lathe and get them to cut it off exactly so that pulley's off there. That should take a decent amount of weight out of it because it is proper thick. So we'll worry about that later on. But the other problem this presents is, because obviously if it used to have the belt pulley here and now it's out here, then it causes problems with your alternator. Or alternator, if we want to start talking properly. Now, the thing is, the alternator is going to bolt on here. Now, obviously, if the pulley is slightly further out, then I'm going to need to space the alternator out a little bit further. Not a massive problem. I'll put a little spacer here, a little spacer there. No harm, no foul. But now, if you look, you can see the pulley's here, and it's almost certainly going to come up like this, which means it's going to hit this engine mount here. Now I'm going to look into it a little bit more, but I don't think it's going to bother it too much if I do take a tiny little notch out of here. We're not talking like the whole piece, but I just need to work out roughly how much of that belt's going to come up and touch this lip, and then we'll cut that out. I don't want to space it or anything, because it's going to cause loads of problems. So either way, for the time being at least, solving one problem has caused me another, but it's not the end of the world. We'll get over it. It's always going to be little things like this when you're putting an engine in something that you had no intention of fitting it in. But apart from that, you'll also notice that I've fitted the inlet, but I haven't. Because for some reason, these all studs are M8, all the other bolts and everything else are like M6, M4, but the inlet studs, which I've only got 2, because someone's removed all of the studs, are M7. I have no idea why they would do M7 studs. It's a really weird size. So I'm either going to buy studs or I'm just going to buy bolts, and we'll get that bolted on there. But the other reason why I haven't bolted it all up properly is you will see that obviously we've got this bottom half of inlet, and we have the top half of the inlet, which is plastic. Now, there are little seals that go between everything, which I don't have, again, because I don't ever seem to have any of the bits that I need. But I'm going to buy some special sealant and stuff to do that. But then once you've bolted this top half on, put that down there, then you can't take the injector rail. So you need to put the injectors in first. So when I went for my rolling road day, I took my injectors with me to HAD. He stuck them on the cleaner for me, then put them in the tester. All 4 of them were seized. I don't know how long they've been sat around for, but this is why you test these things. He put them on the cleaner again, and then he managed to get one of them to start clicking. So one of them's all right now, at least it operates. He's going to stick the other 3 back through cleaning again, mostly because if you look it up, these are IPW or IWP 0045s. They're a proper weird size. They're really small. I guess they didn't fit them too much. All the ones I've managed to find like £100 each, second hand. You just can't get them. They don't make them new as far as I can tell. So if I could save them, great. But if not, after chatting to a few boys, it looks like there's actually another set, IWP or IPW 001s. Same CC, so same size injector, pretty much all the same specs. Just a couple of little things that are slightly different. I'm just waiting for confirmation whether that's going to cause me any problems. If not, they're £50 for a set, brand new. So I can buy £50 for 4 of them. So it doesn't take a genius to work out that if I can make that work, then that's what we're going to be doing. So for the time being, I've got a couple more bits waiting to turn up. We'll get the inlet manifold bolted on. We'll get all the sealant and stuff all ready. And then we will get the new spark plug leads in. And then we're getting very, very close to getting this back down on the floor, flywheel on, clutch on, gearbox on, and figure out everything else. I think that is probably it. Yes. Oh, and day, we're going to say 27 of me avoiding doing the engine bay sanding continues. Now, with all of that said, I'm going to be rounding up the episode now just by showing you these last couple of things. So here is the fuel rail, and I've already wrapped the loom on this and tidied everything up with some new clips and stuff, all ready to go back on. And I've already got some lovely bolts because I bought, where is it? Over here, a really nice box of bolts with everything in it. So now everything, if you're wondering why everything's gold now, that's because that's what colour they are. And once the injectors that I have now ordered are on their way, we can slot this on like this, and that's how it's going to look. What do we think? I mean, all right, not a massive fan of this part of the inlet manifold, but it's there for a purpose. Oh, if anybody knows anywhere interesting, you can get a different one of these. I don't know if 500 ones fit or something from another car, but it would be cool to have a better one of them on there. Otherwise, I'll have to do something with this one. But I'm really hoping you're glad with the progress we made on this. I've been trying to smash it out as fast as I can, doing it properly, and just thinking about the bigger picture and how everything's going to work later on in the project. So when you come back next time, I will have fitted the injectors, bolted every other last little bit on there, and hopefully start talking with my friends into coming around, help me lift it onto the floor so we can fit the light and flywheel, upgraded clutch, and bolt it onto the gearbox. So then we can call this bit done, and I will no longer put off doing this. Now you might actually see there's a heater matrix in there at the moment, because I've bought one of those because, you know, race car, whatever, I still want some cooling, etc. inside my car. So without further ado, I'm going to say goodbye for now. Thank you for stopping by for another episode of 16 valve goodness, and I will see you again soon on the home of small Fiats.